Automotive Training Center is also a 20-year sponsor of the Imagine America Scholarship and Award programs, having provided admissions-based financial aid to more than 3,000 enrolling Imagine America students. But without taking valuable time from our presenter, let me refer any and all inquiries about the Imagine America Foundation, our scholarship program, which we are going to talk about just a little bit later in the presentation, but direct those questions to our website, which is www.imagine-america.org. Since our beginning in 1999, Imagine America remains a leading sponsor of scholarship aid to enrolling high school students. However, our country faces a serious shortage in certified technicians. We hear from employers in virtually all sections of the country desperately looking for qualified employees, so we need to do more. Our partner in today's presentation is Automotive Training Center, and joining us today to discuss in detail the looming technician shortage and how Automotive Training Center is helping meet this need is Samantha Mantegna. Samantha is a nationally recognized expert in this area with an extensive K-12 background, having worked with high schools for over 10 years. But before turning the program over to Samantha, let me outline today's agenda. Today's session of Imagine America Radio will be 30 minutes maximum, with question and answers at the end of the presentation. All participants can submit questions while the presentation is in session via the chat feature or the Q&A feature in this Zoom meeting. At the end of the presentation, or approximately 10:25, I will then present any questions offered by the participants, and we'll address as many questions as possible, provide written responses and follow-up emails. But we will have a hard close at 10:30 a.m. So without taking any more time out of today's presentation, let me turn today's session over to Samantha Mantegna. Samantha, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lee, and good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining today. I look forward to providing you all with some more information on the Automotive Training Center. Automotive Training Center has two locations, as Lee had said to you both. They're both in Pennsylvania. One is in Warminster, which is Bucks County, PA, and the other location is in Exton, PA, which is going to be more on the Chester County side. ATC has a very long history. We've actually been around for over 100 years, and we'll kind of talk about that in the presentation today. But the whole point of ATC as a school is basically to get the students entered into school here, get them educated on the technical side, give them the soft skills such as resume writing and interviewing skills and how to dress on an interview, kind of getting them out there, making sure that they're going to be working part-time while they're in school. Our students typically will get out of school every day at 1:30, so they have plenty of time to work a part-time job as well. And then ultimately, our main goal is to have the students graduate from the program here and then move on and work in the field full-time as an automotive technician. So we're going to kind of get into that today. The biggest thing right now in our world and our society is that our lives basically revolve around technology. I think we probably all know that, given our current circumstances out there today. So the biggest thing right now, besides us, utilizing it on a daily basis to learn and educate, is that the technicians today, this is kind of where this industry is headed. So obviously, if anyone's been inside a new model car or truck recently, you know that cars can park themselves, cars can drive themselves. You can talk to your car can talk to you. So those are just a few of the things that are kind of, out there today that we're used to as far as cars go. Well, with that being said, it's not the days of old when you could just, get a wrench or get a screwdriver and, start tuning with cars. It doesn't work like that anymore. So the big thing with nowadays is that you're not called mechanics anymore. It's not all about the mechanicals. Most of this industry is heading towards that technology side. And again, these manufacturers are not slowing down. Everything is all about the latest and greatest and what else can we put into a vehicle. Well, obviously, it's not going to be foolproof. Something's going to happen here or there. So you need these technicians to learn, to understand the knowledge behind the computers, the technology, the wiring, so on and so forth. So again, it's a really big push these days. And these students have pretty much grown up with technology. So it comes a little bit more naturally to them than, say, somebody who's been in the industry at 60, 65, even older if they're still working out there today. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about ATC as a school, just to give you a little bit background and history. ATC first opened up our doors in 1917 as part of what was called Spring Garden College. Spring Garden College does not exist anymore, but ATC kept going as its own entity. We started right in Philadelphia, so obviously things happening back then in a major city. And this is during World War I. And then you're thinking maybe what kind of vehicle was around back then. But obviously, if you know a little bit about history and cars, the Ford Model T was out. If people could actually afford to buy a car, that would usually be the car that was, top priority there. So again, they're working on things such as Ford Model Ts and military equipment and things like that. We stayed in Philadelphia for quite some time. But obviously, with the changing environment and after both world wars and people moving out to more suburban areas, a lot more people on the road, a lot more car manufacturers out there today. So we moved out to our Exton location location in 1971. That campus has been there ever since then. In 1991, a graduate of ATC and his family actually purchased the school. So he graduated from ATC, he worked out in the field, he came back, he taught at the school, and then he and his family purchased the school in 91, so it's been family owned and operated ever since then. And then there's another big push in the industry, another big boom, a lot more car manufacturers, more cars on the road, a lot more people driving these days, and they needed a bigger facility to house even more students. So that's when we opened up our Warminster location in 2005. So those are our campuses that we have today. We've had many awards and accolades over the years as well. Again, we pride ourselves on being one of the oldest post-secondary schools still functioning in the United States today, teaching the automotive industry. So again, that's our big thing here, is to make sure our students are educated on the technical side, get them working while they're in school, and then full-time when it comes time to graduate from the program. So let's move on a little bit. One of the big things with ATC is our partnerships, our alliances, what we have out there today. And one of the big things is a lot of the big auto shows that are out there today. So the Philadelphia Auto Show, because Philly's right in our backyard, is one of our big ones that we work, and we do a lot of partnering with these dealerships. And basically these are the dealerships that are going to be hiring our students and our graduates. So right now, putting on the show every year, right now there's currently 190 dealerships that we are working with continuously, making sure that our students are getting out there working for these individuals. They call up the school constantly asking for students. You know, we need somebody now. Who do you recommend? So again, this is one of the big things about our school, with our long history and our students that are coming out of here with the knowledge that they need to actually work in the industry today. So it's very known out there, which is great. And then we're going to get right into our program. So first up, we have Automotive Technology. So our school functions a little bit differently from the typical college or even the typical high school, because when a student comes here, they're going right into their major classes ASAP. So for Automotive Technology, just to kind of give you an overview, it's 15 months long, so just a little bit longer than a year, and these students are in and out of school. A lot of times you'll talk to a lot of the high school students, and you know this obviously working with them firsthand, is that a lot of them, you know, maybe don't like school. They don't like the normal classes that they have to sit in and take notes and listen to lecture and theory and things like that. So again, this might be another option for some of those students who, you know, don't see themselves in school maybe for 4 or 5, 6 more years out of high school. So with this program, they get right into the nitty gritty right away. So they don't need any prior knowledge of cars, trucks, or boats to come to ATC. This is something that we pride ourselves on. We're going to teach them from the ground up on how to work and fix and repair vehicles out there today. The cool part too is that these students are only taking one class at a time. So instead of taking like 4 or 5 classes a day, they would take one. They concentrate on one subject area. So for instance, if they were in a class like engine repair, they focus strictly on engines for 8 weeks straight. So from Monday through Friday, 7:30 in the morning till 1:30 in the afternoon, this is what they typically would be doing. They would have a little bit of classroom time to learn and understand the concepts behind it. Then they get to go out to the lab and shop area, and that's where they get to work on the engines at. So you're talking foreign engines, domestic engines, taking an engine and tearing it down to its bare bones, knowing all the parts and components, using scan tools and laptops and things of that nature to diagnose problems and issues with these engines as well. So again, getting the ins and outs of what is all about an engine, you know, what it takes to make an engine run, the whole 9 yards. So again, this is what they do for 8 weeks straight for just one class. Once they pass that class, they then move on to their next one, okay? The other big thing we pride ourselves on here is that students are able to bring in their own cars and trucks to work on here at the school. We have an array of other vehicles that belong to the school that the students also can work on. And we work with several different manufacturers out there now. We do Mercedes-Benz, we do Volvo, we do Mopar, which is Chrysler, Fiat, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. And we just recently added Volkswagen to the mix as well. So these students are getting trained specifically with these certain manufacturers while they're here in the building too. And then in the state of Pennsylvania, like most states, you have to get your cars inspected every single year. Because the school is in PA, they will get their PA emissions and inspections license along with their MAX certification as well. Now, as we move forward, and I keep talking about kind of where this industry is going, I always like to show a little bit of kind of what these manufacturers are creating and coming out with. And again, these are, you know, some interesting vehicles, none, you know, not to say anything, but, you know, they're concept cars basically. And what that basically means is that these manufacturers created these vehicles. They're not selling them to the general public, not that I would be able to afford one of these, but again, they're just trying to give their ideas and show you what it is that they're coming up with out there today. So this technology is pretty crazy. So the first car you see right here by Mercedes is a Silver Arrow. It's pretty cool. It's a one-seater, a cockpit style car. It's 100% electric. Again, no engine, no pumping gasoline or diesel fuel into this thing. Still very quick from 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds. And it has this built-in virtual race coach. So a lot of students out there like video games and like virtual reality and all that kind of stuff. And it has this built into it to help the driver drive better. You know, do we need all that to drive a car? Of course not. But is that stopping these manufacturers from still creating it? No. So like I said before, in this day and age where we are right now, I mean, the technology is there. It's just a matter of time before it's actually coming out with what we're normally seeing with the vehicles on the road today. Now, another one by Mercedes, which is also pretty cool. It was based off the movie Avatar. So if you've ever seen that movie before, James Cameron film, basically the people on planet Pandora are blue, for lack of a better term, and all the inhabitants are living. And they created this car to kind of mimic that. And this car is pretty insane. It's got 33 bionic flaps on the back of it that give you the appeal that this car is like a living, breathing thing, which obviously it's not. It's just a car. But the bionic flaps, they move, they change color, they relay messages. The interior of the car is 100% vegan. There's no steering wheel to drive this car. It's got a center console area that also does your heart rate and your breathing before you actually drive. And if you want to drive or not drive, that's up to you. The car can drive for you if you'd like it to. So again, it's pretty interesting, some of the things that they come out with these vehicles today. This one's also 100% electric. And the cool thing is this battery life is insane. Less than 15 minutes to fully charge it. And then you can go for over 435 miles on this charge. And again, you know, when you're looking at something like this, you're thinking, wow, it's very futuristic looking. But then you have to kind of take a step back and think, is it really futuristic if they've already come out with this technology? And that's the thing right now, is that this industry just keeps going and going and going, and it doesn't seem to be stopping with the technology anytime soon. So again, education is going to be key in all facets of automotive in this industry. Now, another program that we do at this school is a little bit longer than the strict automotive one. This one is automotive and diesel combined. So basically the students will get all of their automotive classes, and then they'll actually focus in on diesel engines and diesel fuel systems. So they kind of get the best of both worlds here. And we know diesel's in a lot of things. It's in cars, trucks, boats, buses, planes, trains, construction equipment, farming equipment, you name it. It's got a diesel engine in it. And this, they get the best of both. They get the gasoline side and they get the diesel side. Diesel engines can be small, like into a car. They can be medium size, like a box truck, or they could be really big, like that Caterpillar engine you see on the screen there, that would go into like an 18-wheeler over the road type of a vehicle. And these students are going to learn the ins and outs of diesel engines. They're going to tear them down to their bare bones. They're going to be able to diagnose problems and issues. What's wrong with it? How do I tell what's wrong with it? Using scan tools, using laptop computers to diagnose problems and issues, to know what's good, to know what's bad, how to put the engine back together again and make it run fully. Diesel fuel systems, they could be all different depending on the diesel engine, the size, the makeup, and everything like that. So they're going to learn the ins and outs of how to diagnose, repair, fix, maintain the whole 9 yards with the diesel system as well. And again, students can choose if they want to work on the smaller, the medium, or the larger diesels when they go out there and they start working in the field. And as we move forward, we're going to talk a little bit further here. And these are just some of the different careers in diesel. So you'll see a couple different names up here. Some of them you'll recognize. But again, like I said before, there's a lot of options and a lot of opportunity out there, so the students can decide for themselves what they like best in this industry today. And then next up, these are just specific manufacturers that ATC works with. Basically, a student, right before they graduate, a couple months beforehand, they can decide if they want to apply to get into these more specific manufacturer advanced training programs as well. It's not mandatory, but it's definitely something they can do. The student will need an A average, almost no absences from school, and recommendations from their instructors to get looked at to go into these programs specifically. Usually they're about a year long or so. And basically these companies, if they accept you, they're putting you through their training program to make sure that you're well versed, that you can work for them after you graduate as well. So again, that's another option for students to kind of look at. I mentioned Mercedes-Benz as one of the training programs. I mentioned Mopar, I mentioned Volvo. So these are just some of the slides where you guys get to see some of the vehicles that they're working on, the equipment and the tools, the software system. So again, this is something that's pretty cool that we're doing partnerships with a lot of these local dealerships and manufacturers, because they're kind of killing two birds with one stone. They need students from ATC to work for them because they're post-secondary students. They graduated. They need obviously skilled technicians in this industry in a serious way these days. And then now they get trained on these vehicles while they're in school. So they don't have to retrain them from the beginning in order to have them work for them. So it's pretty cool to see what the students are capable of doing. And it doesn't mean that they have to work for them when they graduate, but it's a good step in the door because they can work for them part-time while they're in school as well, which is pretty cool. And then our next program is automotive and high performance. So in this program, it's for students who like fast cars, muscle cars, tuner cars, race cars, turbo, nitrous, carburation with the old school cars. So they'll get all of their automotive classes, and then they'll specialize in machine shop advanced machine shop, engine rebuilding, welding, and fabrication. So for lack of a better term, they'll take an engine and they want to change that engine. They want to make it faster, more powerful. They'll basically tear it down to its bare bones, and then they'll go into the machine shop. And that's where they get to hone out and bore different aspects of that engine block with the different machines in there to make it faster and more powerful the way that they want it to be. Because every engine is manufactured a specific way, but you can change that. The students are able to bring in their own engines to work on here at the school. And if not, we have engines for them to work on as well, which is cool. And then over here on the screen, you'll see that this engine is on what's called an engine dyno. This is a diagnostic tool. This engine can run without actually being inside the vehicle. So they can do all the testing on it here. It's a huge diagnostic tool that they use in this program. It has a huge computer and diagnostic center on the other side of the wall from it. So they'll learn how to utilize and use it and get to where the engine needs to be. This here is an example of a chassis dyno. A chassis dyno is basically kind of like a treadmill for cars. So we've all been on treadmills before, whether we like it or not, but you can either run or walk, but you're doing it in place. You're not going anywhere. It's the same thing with this car. This whole computer system on the wall over here is hooked up to this engine, and it's going to be able to run diagnostic tests to tell you how fast it's going, how slow it's going, if there's a problem or issue, kind of similar to when you're on a treadmill as a human, right? So again, just to kind of give you some features of what these students are going to be learning in here. They get to learn all the different machines. There's about 25 of them in the machine shop. And again, when they come out of here, they're going to be skilled in the machining area as well, which is great. And then another program that we offer here at the school is going to be our collision reconditioning technology program. So this is going to be 15 months long. And again, cars are beautiful when they're brand new. We all admire them and how shiny and how pretty they are. And then all of a sudden, bam, that car accident happens and you're thinking, oh no, my car it doesn't look so pretty anymore. Well, these are the people that are responsible for fixing and repairing the damage to the outside of the vehicle. So you're going to take a look here at some of the classes that they're going to be taking in this program. One of the really key ones here that they're going to really need to know about is the cost estimating a damage repair. We all know that cars cost money, obviously, but one of the big things is that you need to be able to know the damage, the severity of the damage, and be able to relay that to the customer with like an estimate. And you can give somebody an estimate of $2,000, but if they come to pick up their car and you're going to charge them $4,000, there's a serious problem somewhere, a miscommunication, if you will, and those customers are not going to be very, very happy. So you need to know the ins and outs on everything here. You need to be able to look at the structure of the vehicle and say, is the frame bent in? Is the frame need to be pulled back out? Is it worth fixing the car? So what do I mean by that? Sometimes cars cost more to fix than they're actually worth. So there's a whole lot that goes into this program as well, very detail oriented. You're going to learn welding. You're going to get your welding certification in this program. They're going to teach you how to paint from the ground up as well. And then you'll also get automotive classes within the collision program too. So there's a lot that goes on in here. And then this next slide is going to show you basically the students in the shop and lab areas here at the school. So you'll see, sorry, it skipped ahead real quick. And you'll actually see them in the shops. So these students are in the paint booth here. So they're fully geared up in their paint gear, their breathing apparatus, because obviously you don't want to be breathing in paint fumes. And they're in the actual paint booth, and they're painting the Ford that you see here on the screen. Once they go through their different paint classes, they're given different projects to do to kind of display, what they learned and how they actually adjust to it and if they're doing it correctly. And this is the time in school where you're going to make mistakes, and that's fine, because the whole point is to practice, practice, practice. We all know the more you practice, the better off you become at most things. So these students are painting, they just painted their hoods and now they're buffing it out. And then the instructor is going to come around and kind of critique it and let them know what they did great or what they need a little bit of work on and so on and so forth. And then over here, this young lady is welding, and there's many different types of welding that they're going to learn in this program, and they're going to get their welding certification as well. So again, the list goes on. And then, like I said, you're going to get about 5 automotive classes as well, which is pretty cool. And that's going to be 15 months long. And then our next program and our last program is actually our Marine Service Technology. So we do boats here at this school as well. This is 9 months. This is our shortest program. And they're going to learn the ins and outs of the marine field. So anything from inboard, outboard, diesel, gasoline engines, stern drives, you name it, small, medium, large watercraft. And we all know boats should go on the water. And the other thing about this program, and just like the auto side, is I keep telling you about all the diagnostic features. Well, if you look in both of these pictures, you're going to see laptop computers in both of them because they're running diagnostics on these engines that they're working on for marine. So it's pretty cool to see. And now, like I said, we all know that boats should go in the water, and who doesn't want to own a boat, right? So this is a typical marina where students would be working at. So you kind of get to see an idea of, what the looks are, and if they like being outdoors and they like the water and they like test driving boats, this is definitely something that they're going to be doing on a regular basis. Now, obviously, most of us have to own a car or truck to get from point A to point B. Not everybody's going to own a boat, but there's lots of different marinas in and around the area. Obviously, we have the Jersey Shore not too far from our campus, so we get a lot of students from the New Jersey area as well. But again, this is probably one of the closest marine campuses out there for students to come to. The other thing is that obviously we do get winter in our area, so if a student wants to go somewhere where it's warm all year long, they can do that as well. Because if it's a warm environment all year long, they can then go out on the water. People will be on boats all year long, such as, if you went down south to Florida, the Keys, the Caribbean, out to like South Texas, and then going all the way out to California, these are areas and things that people are going to be working in as well. So again, a need for skilled technicians in this field as well. And then as we move forward, typically with ATC, we are operating 5 days a week. Monday through Friday, 7:30 in the morning till 1:30 in the afternoon. And our students get a lunch break every day from 10:30 to 11:15. Obviously, we've had to modify our schedule a bit with the COVID pandemic going on. So our school has been back in session from the initial shutdown back in March, which I can't believe it's almost been a year now. But we started back up with our students in the classrooms and everything on June 15th. So our students were online from March until they came back in June. And then basically we had to do an A and a B schedule for social distancing. So we cannot right now have more than 12 students in a classroom. Everybody will be wearing their masks. Again, I'm in my office with the door shut, so I don't have to wear it right at this moment. But as soon as I leave, open up my door, my mask is on. And, again, we have hand sanitizer stations everywhere throughout the building. So we're doing everything basically following the CDC guidelines as best we can. And it seems to be working out pretty well for us. While the students are in school right now, they are basically in the shop or lab the majority of the time that they're here for that 6 hours. So with the A and B schedule, all the students are here on a Monday. So they do A in the morning, B in the afternoon, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays is going to be the A day, and then Wednesdays and Fridays will be a B day. So when the students are physically in the building, they're, for the most part, I would say 95% of the time going to be in the shop and lab, because this is a post-secondary school, and if they can't practice what it is they're learning, they're not going to be able to go out there and actually do it in the real world. So what we did is that we have our online with our classroom time on the days that they're not physically in the building for now. So again, once things get all situated and, we're allowed, back with maximum capacity in the building and so forth, then obviously the students will be back in the building 5 days a week. And then something that we started a couple of years back is Advantage U, and this is something for the high school seniors. So once a senior basically decides that ATC is the school for them, they came in for a tour, they did the interviewing process, they decided to enroll into the school. We have these classes that we typically do once a month or once every other month, and it's for the high school seniors to come in, learn a bit from our instructors, get the lay of the land of the school, get to practice with the equipment and tools, and basically kind of, stay invested and focused in on, what they're going to be doing after they actually graduate in the summertime from high school. And then they get to meet all other students from, all the other high schools throughout the area. So whether it be from Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, New York, Pennsylvania, obviously. So again, they get to kind of meet students that they'll be attending school with. So it's kind of like orientations, but we do it kind of throughout their senior year, which is pretty cool. And then student services are basically kind of like our guidance department. So not only are they guidance, but they also assist with if a student needs tutoring, if they need any kind of learning support. They facilitate like carpool assistance if a student needs, to come to school and they have somebody else that's living in their area, but they don't have a car yet, we can help them with that. Housing is available for students here. So if you're not, from right around the area, or the student doesn't want to drive like a longer distance, we do have housing, and we have a housing fair every spring. The students who are looking for housing come to, and they get to kind of check out and see, what's going to work best for them. So housing is an option here at the school as well. And then we have our career services, which are the people that are going to guide our students with. We meet with them probably within the first 2 weeks that they start school here. And they want to know the ins and outs about the student. What do you like? What do you don't like? Where you see yourselves working? What do you like best about the auto industry? Do you have a resume? Are you working currently? And then they're going to go over everything with them, like their resume writing, their interviewing skills, how to dress, how to talk, how to speak, how to act on an interview. We have a job board that's updated on the regular basis. And typically before COVID, we definitely had quite a few career fairs at our campus with all the different dealerships and so forth in the area. We haven't had one since kind of the outbreak, obviously for given the circumstances right now, but hopefully we can get back into that again. But it's not stopping, because these workers, these technicians are considered essential workers. So they were still working during the shutdown, and they're still working now because people still need their cars to get from point A to point B. People still have to get to their jobs if they're still able to work. So again, essential workers are key, and these auto technicians fall into that belt right now. So they're still able to work, and they are still looking for lots of skilled young technicians to work in this industry today. And then I'll get to our last slide, and that would be financial aid. So the same way that a student would apply for college, a 4-year school, and they'd fill out the FAFSA, it's the same exact process here at ATC. If a student qualifies for financial aid, then they'll receive it here. It works the same way. We have a whole financial aid department. We work with the students and their family every step of the way to make sure their paperwork is filled out. If they have any questions on anything, we sit down with them. We have several meetings with them to make sure everything is cleared up and clarified and the whole 9 yards. And then the other big part about ATC is our scholarships. ATC offers 100%, 50%, and 25% tuition scholarships through our ATC scholarship, and it's for high school seniors, and we have another event coming up in February. But again, this is an opportunity for students to apply to get scholarship money to come to school. And again, who doesn't want free money to help them pay for school? I know I needed it when I was in school. And again, that's just the ATC scholarship. When they meet with financial aid, we give them another list of scholarships that they can also apply for as well. So again, we're doing everything in our power. And if you notice on the screen, you'll also see that it says Imagine America there. So obviously that's a key component to our students, along with if they're interested or if they belong to Skills USA. So there's a lot that goes on with our programs with ATC, and kind of giving, the students the opportunity to, develop their skills, to start working, to get experience what it's like, and then obviously working full-time when it comes time to graduate from the program. So again, there's a lot that goes on here at the campus, and we do our best to stay on top of our students. Attendance is very important here. It is a clock hour school. So again, if there's any sort of a sign that a student is starting to show up late or kind of missing classes and stuff, we immediately call them and contact them ASAP. Obviously right now they need to be logging in also when they're not in school online. So you guys have all experienced that they need to be actually logging in to get credit for being in the class and doing their work. So again, there's a whole lot that kind of comes from the world that we're in right now, but these students have to take accountability, and they need to be here, because if they're not in this building learning, then we can't help them get out there and get in the job field, because they're going to know that, they missed out a lot. And like I said before, since we're a clock hour school, part of their, time here is based on, being in school every single day. And, in the real world, I think we all know that is that, if you're missing time and you're not showing up, they're just going to say, see you later, you're fired. So we're trying to gear them towards, staying on track. Sometimes high schools, like some of these students, they're a lenient building, or they get away with a lot, and you never know, and especially with this day and age. But we want to make sure we set them up for going out there and doing what they need to do out in the world. So that's all I have for today. I'll hand it over back to Lee, and thank you again for joining, everybody.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. It looks like we do actually have a couple of questions. And my first question is, we are now going to open this up for the question and answer portion of the presentation. So if you do have some questions, feel free to click on the Q&A feature in the Zoom meeting and ask your question, and I will try to get to it as timely as possible. So the first question is, if someone wanted to get in touch with Automotive Training Center, should they go to the website or just contact yourself directly?
They can contact me directly, and I can assist them. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we had another question that wanted to know, what is the percentage of students who graduate that are employed within 6 months?
That is actually, I don't have it on the top of my head right now, but it is on our website. So if they went to autotraining.edu, they can find all that information, because we have it all updated on there. Everything is on there. But I'm going to say, I know that these students, because we're trying to get them working part-time while they're in school, most of the time that part-time job brings those students on full-time when it comes time to graduate. I'm going to say 9 times out of 10 that they're working by the time they graduate from this school, from this program.
Yeah, I would, just to add on to that, I mean, some of your programs are even fast-tracked specifically for that, right? I mean, you have BMW and the Volvo, okay.
Yep.
Which we sort of talked about. So now one other thing, do you have GPA requirements?
So what they do is they base it off of the individual student. So obviously when we meet with those students and they're interested in enrolling in ATC, they have to come in for a tour of the campus. They have to meet with our admissions department, and then with their parents or their, their guardian, and they have to kind of go through, like a Q&A with the admissions department. They kind of get to know them on a regular basis. They have to be on track to graduate from high school. They can't be failing or, anything like that. It's just, not feasible. But we do know here, and we don't base it off of grades alone, that not everybody is the best high school student in the world. But that doesn't mean that they're not smart and they're not, capable of doing well at the school. So that's why we kind of do it more on an individual basis. So if there is a subject area that a student does not do well in, we'll question it and kind of say, why is that? But then on the flip side, there's probably a subject area that the student loves and they probably do really well in that subject. So we try and base it on an individual basis, but they have to be on track to graduate from high school. In order to actually start school here, they need their high school diploma in order to actually start.
Got it. Okay, great. And then second, or another question, this person wants to know how much housing costs. Now, is that something that you guys do externally, or do you offer dorms?
Yep, so it's going to be externally. So what we do here is we have a large campus. The campus is very big, but the housing is not on campus. It's off campus. And we work with different apartment complexes, almost being like at a college and off-campus housing, if that makes sense. So we have different ones that we actually work with here that our students live at. So when we do the housing fair, we have those representatives from the different complexes come right to ATC. And then the students and their family get to walk around to each of them and get the information and talk to them. And then once they're done with speaking to them, they get to go to the actual location, which is all close in proximity to the school. It's not far. And they actually get to tour the actual facilities to see what they like best, kind of what fits them and, the cost and all that kind of stuff that goes along with it too.
Yeah, and this person wants to know about the tuition costs of Automotive Training Center. We get this question quite frequently. Can you kind of briefly explain maybe the tuition costs and then any kind of comparison to, the opportunity costs of maybe trying to go to a four-year school or college? We get that question pretty quick.
No problem. So basically, this school, like I said, it's going to be anywhere from 9 months to about 19 months or about a year and a half. So basically what happens is it's the cost is for the entire program, and the books are included in that as well. So it's not like when I went to college and I had to buy new books every semester and, the whole 9 yards and spend tons and tons of money. So that's included. The students will wear a uniform here, just in case you didn't get that from, some of the videos and stuff. But also the programs, I'll just average them out anywhere from like a little over 20,000 a year to somewhere around like 40,000, somewhere around there, give or take a year, depending on the length of the program. And how I look at it is, since I am a college graduate, is that the school that I went to right now with room and board is over $70,000 just for 1 year. So again, this student is getting into school here. They're here a year and a half most, and basically they're going to be working while they're in school, so they're still making money, and then they get to work obviously full time at like 19, 20 years old when, a typical college student is still in school, maybe in their second, third year, and, still going and, kind of still, but like I said before, I would never knock college by any means. So don't think that. It depends on the student, and they're getting a skilled trade. And what we know about skilled trades is that once you have a skilled trade, no one can take that away from you. And you're always going to be valuable out there in the world. And especially today's time, with these skilled technicians, these auto technicians, they need to be educated for sure. And just because they come to ATC and they graduate doesn't mean their education is going to stop. They're going to keep getting educated while they're out there working for the different dealerships and such like that as well.
Yeah, that's right. And, and basically, I'm summarizing here, but we would never knock a four-year traditional school or community college option. It's just trying to find what the right fit is for this particular type of student. And then one thing to obviously consider, and you touched on, which is the amount of time you're in school versus, how quickly can you get into the workforce and start earning money that can pay back your student loans if you even have any. What type of scholarship or financial aid package you're, that you qualify for. There's so many different things to take into consideration there. So, but with that being said, I just have a few things that I want to mention here before we close. One thing that I want to mention is that we are going to be sending the recording of this presentation out to you after this is over. There is also a quick survey. So when you leave this presentation, there will be a quick survey. If you wouldn't mind just answering some of those questions for us, that really helps us, better hone in on maybe something that we didn't talk enough about, or so that next time we do these presentations, they're just a little bit better for you. And this session will be placed on our website, which is www.imagine-america.org. Before closing, I just want to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules today to join us. And I'd also like to thank Samantha for sharing with us today's presentation and encourage each and every one of you to contact her directly with any future questions. But on behalf of Imagine America, Samantha, and myself, I want to thank you and goodbye.